Hello everybody and welcome to a little bit of a different video for the channel here. I'm hoping I can kind of start doing more of these talking about new releases and just general game news going forward because these types of videos are great to make in my opinion. I think they're a really good way to kind of interact with the community on a different level. Battle reports are great and all, and I definitely plan to keep doing those, but I think these are a good way to kind of help keep up with what's going on in the community and just kind of chat with you guys a little bit more, you know, one on 0, 50, however many of you are watching this video sort of style. But anyways, I'm not going to ramble too long on that. I do want to get right into things because I have a lot of stuff I want to talk about here, and that is because Marvel Crisis Protocol has decided to release the Earth's Mightiest core set. They just dropped the news about this. Time of recording earlier today, time of the video some point yesterday. Um, they released this live stream on Twitch where they were talking about what was, in their words, a mini announcement, but I think this is a pretty big one. So I'm very, very excited for a bunch of the things that they revealed, and I just want to kind of talk through some of them and see if we can start a bit of a discussion about what's going on with some of this new stuff, because I'm super excited, and I hope a lot of you guys are as well. So getting into things, yeah, they're making a new core set and it looks freaking beautiful. Look at these models. They are fantastic. I'll get some more close-up images on some of these guys later. But like these are some beautiful sculpts. I love the Black Widow like kicking open the Ultron. I think it's going to be a royal pain to assemble, but we'll get there when we get there. Captain America looks great. Iron Man, I'm honestly not that huge on. I think he looks a little cartoony, but the rest of them look fantastic, so no complaints there. Uh, it's really exciting. We're finally getting those Ultron grunts that were previewed a while back, which is really exciting. And just a ton of cool stuff in here. So the Earth's Mightiest core set, there's our box art for it, which we've also seen spoiled a few times. And just a few more kind of close-up shots at some of these characters. I'm not going to sit here and read through the article, but man, that sculpt is great. I love that Widow. That's going to be really cool. We've got the Ultron. I think this is the same image they showed off in the past, which is really cool. And then that's it for the actual article, but they showed a lot more in the video, and I have a bunch of images here that use or a local community member shared in one of my discords. So I decided to open them all up, and we'll just kind of go through them one by one in the order that I opened them, I guess. Actually, no, let's start it this way. So we're gonna go this way. And the first thing is the core box heroes, what we're getting here. So we have Captain America, the first Avenger, Captain Marvel, Cosmic Avenger, the Black Widow, Invincible Iron Man, Winter Soldier Operative, and Spectacular Spider-Man. So as you guys will notice right away, this isn't just a core box with updated sculpts or anything like that. These models all have different names, some of them very, very slightly. Um, they're unique models. They're going to have unique stat cards, and the old ones are totally still playable. As a matter of fact, I don't know if there's an image in this image deck for them, but there is going to be 3 new affiliation packs coming out that are going to be including all of the models from the existing core box that haven't already been released through an affiliation pack. Because we know core box Peter Parker was in the Web Warriors one, but we're also getting one for the Avengers from the core box. We're getting one for the Cabal from the core box, and then we're getting a Spider Foes one that's going to have Doc Ock. So they're going to be releasing all of those. If you missed out on the first core box or you're just getting into the game now, don't worry, you'll still have a chance to get those. And I strongly recommend you do because a lot of those models are awesome and a lot of fun. So this is the new one though. So the new one, they're doing updated versions of all the existing characters, which I know a few people are going to be a little annoyed about, between the fact that this is our third Iron Man, our third Spider-Man, our third Captain America, and then it's a second for many of the other characters in this box. But the heroes this time around are getting a little bit of extra help. They're getting the Winter Soldier as well, and importantly, this is going to be a 4 threat Winter Soldier, which we'll talk more about that later. But that's really exciting for me. I think I think it's cool to see that we're getting kind of a powered up version of the original core box. These are supposed to be kind of these characters at slightly different points in time. Most of them are stronger than their original version. with a couple of them kind of being a little bit on the lighter side, like Spectacular Spider-Man, who is actually only a 3 threat this time around. And also, can I just say that sculpt with the symbiote underneath him is so cool. I'm very excited. Um, but yeah, so, and of course, as an Avengers player, if anyone's been watching this channel for any amount of time, really, I'm super excited for all of this Avengers support coming out. I mean, the new Captain America is really, really cool, and I'm looking forward to trying them out on the table, which hopefully I'll be able to do pretty soon because I'm thinking about this weekend's battle report, and I'm thinking I might try and do, obviously using the old models, but using the new rules and see how these guys actually feel on the table. So stay tuned for that because that's definitely something that I want to get going. If not this weekend, then for next weekend. But yeah, we're gonna move into the next slide here, which is just a nice little picture of all of them together, the actual models. And again, these models are beautiful. This core box looks so good. I'm very excited to get all these guys up and paint them and get them on camera and everything. It's gonna be a fantastic time. Super excited for all of these. And then, of course, we have the villains, the Cabal, and a lot more than just the Cabal. But again, we'll get into that as we go. So we have Red Skull, Master of the World. He's one-upping the Master of Hydra. Um, so this is going to be another Red Skull Cabal leader. We also have Baron Helmet Zemo, who's looking pretty sick. I love the pose on this one as well. I think he's fantastic. Crossbones, Merciless Merc, maybe a Crossbones that'll actually see the table once in a while. Super exciting. Ultron Metal Tyrant and Ultron Drones. I'm such a big Ultron fan, and I'm very excited for that model. And then Doc Ock, Sinister Scientist, and Sinister is there for a reason, which we'll get to later. I'm very excited for this model as well. So moving on, we're gonna get into the first of the stack cards that I've again just kind of in the order that I opened them up in. So we have Captain America, First Avenger. This is another 4-threat Captain America, which does make 3 4-threat Steve Rogers, which is interesting. But I am very excited for him nonetheless. The sculpt, first of all, I think looks really good. I love the way he's holding the shield back like that. It's kind of his like heroic pose sort of thing. I think it's great. It's a really nice, clean, simple pose for Captain America that works well. Defensively, we're looking at something that's going to be pretty familiar to any of the core box Steve Rogers players. He's going to be 4-4-3. He's going to have 6 health on the front side this time. We haven't seen the back side, but right now I'm just kind of going under the assumption that they don't change. He's going to be threat level 4, size 2, and a medium move, so nothing too crazy there. And we're going to go into a stack card here. He's got Shield Bounce. It's a range 3 shield throw this time around. 5 dice still, which is solid. And it's a builder instead of a gainer, so he's going to gain power equal to the damage dealt instead of just gaining 1. In addition, the trigger is a little bit harder to get than the regular shield throw. The regular shield throw is just on a wild. This one's on a wild and a hit. Also, notably, it's called Bounce this time instead of Ricochet, and the rules, from my initial reading of them at least, seem to interact the exact same as Ricochet on our classic Steve Rogers, but they just seem to kind of be cleaned up a little bit, like how they specify that it can be any distance from this character. That's sort of, to me, just feels like a slightly cleaner wording of the original one, so maybe that's why they called it something different. But if there is an actual rules difference for that, please do let me know down in the comments below, because I definitely plan to be playing this guy a lot, so I want to make sure I know how he works. Then we have Brooklyn Brawlers, so we finally have a good spender on Steve, because this spender is going to be something. So it's base 5 dice, 4 power, range 3, which is actually really nice. I honestly thought this was range 2 until just now. And add dice to the attack roll equal to the target's size. So that means we have a Captain America that can throw potentially 9 or even 10 dice depending who he's punching, which just feels really good. It's got a critical push, which is nice. After the attack is resolved, if they're size 3 or less, you can push them away small. I feel like with it adding dice equal to the target's size, I'd almost want that to be an any size push, but beggars can't be choosers. And then we have Frontliner. So we have Wild Hit Shield. So the triggers on this guy are crazy, but you guys are going to see why in a bit. After this attack is resolved, you can make an additional Brooklyn Brawler attack without paying the cost, and it must target a different character. So there's a world where this Steve is throwing 40 dice at a turn, because if he's hitting something like Sentinels and he gets that trigger on both times that he makes this attack, he can throw 40 dice in a single turn, which is absurd. That's crazy having basically a flurry on that, which really cool. I'm looking forward to him. It is a pretty difficult trigger to get, but then we're gonna go into his leadership, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, which super excited. Once per turn, when an allied character is attacking during the modified dice step, if there are one or more hit results in the attack roll, so just hits, he can spend one power. If he does, change one of its results to any other result. So that can be a blank or a shield or something like that. You can turn that into a wild, you can turn that into a crit, you can turn a blank into a shield if you need one for a trigger, like let's say frontliner. Um, this Steve is going to be the king of hitting triggers. Hits have really good odds of showing up on the die. If you're throwing even 3 or 4 dice, you have something like a 70 or 80% chance of getting a hit in there. So with Steve Rogers, you're gonna be getting hits for days. And that's going to be equating to more damage and much easier triggers on anything that has a wild trigger or anything that even just has a 2 symbol trigger. I mean, he's going to need this for himself. It's going to help him get that bounce ability a lot more often. Um, Frontliner and push both they don't trigger on any of the same symbols, so again it's going to be huge for actually letting him get those triggers there. This Steve is going to be the trigger king. I think this is going to be one of the best leaderships for just making sure you're consistently hitting your attack triggers. It's going to be really good, and I look forward to it a lot. He's got a charge, which is nice, especially since all of his things are range 3, so 2 cost charge, nothing we haven't seen before. And then he has perfect block, which is basically Vibranium Shield, but it actually applies to Mystic this time, which is really, really nice. So we have a Steve that can actually kind of hold up against Mystic a little bit more. Unfortunately, still doesn't work against throws, so the Steve will still kind of go down real fast to something like a Magneto, but is what it is. But yeah, I am so excited for this as an Avengers main. I cannot wait to get this guy on the table and start splashing him around in some of my Avengers lists. It's going to be a lot of fun. Moving on, we have Baron Helmet Zemo. So we got a 4 threat Zemo now coming in, which is going to be interesting because the old one, of course, was a 3. And the old one to this day, and I think is one of the best models in the original core box. I think he's such a fantastic beast. I play around with him all the time. He's basically an auto, including Cabal and Hydra for me. So really excited to see a new version. I think the model for this one looks absolutely amazing. Super excited for him. So what are we looking at with this one? We've got 4-3-4 for defensive stats. We've got 5 health, which is a little light for a 4 threat, but maybe on the flip side he's got more or something like that. And he's only a medium move this time around, so he's not as fast as our other Zemo. Interesting. All right, so we have Sword Strike. It's a 5 dice builder with a Wild Pierce and a Crit Wild. After the attack is resolved, may advance short. So we've got some ability, or we got some movement and a Pierce built right into the builder, which is nice. Although on a 5 dice attack, I don't expect you to get the Dancing Strike too often. Then he has Adhesive X Pistol. So this is another free attack, but it's not a builder or gainer, so you're just going neutral on your power here. You're throwing 5 dice out, and it's range 4 with a bunch of triggers here. You've got a Wild Slow, a Crit Wild Stun, and then a Crit Wild Skull for a stagger. That is going to be a bit of a menace if you have any way of giving him, a good amount of rerolls and stuff like that. So that'll be interesting. And then he has coup de grace. This is going to be a 3 cost range 3 7 dice spender. After the attack is resolved, if the target character was dazed or KO'd by this attack, he can advance short. So it's a good kind of finishing move there. He's also a leader for Hydra, which isn't technically an affiliation in this box. I don't think it gives you enough models to actually play Hydra, although we have yet to see kind of how many of the models are going to be affiliated there. But it does kind of give you an option for something to branch out to next, especially since you will already own a Red Skull from this box, who presumably will be Hydra. So when this leadership becomes active, you get to add a Hydra or unaffiliated Team Tactics card from your unused Team Tactics cards to your available ones, and it can be played this game. So basically, if you choose him as your starting leader, or if you use the 2 heads card, you'll be playing with an extra tactics card over your opponent, which can be a pretty big deal. Those obviously are very influential in most games. Additionally, once each turn, after one or more allied characters pay power to play a team tactics card, choose one of the characters that paid power to play the card, and the chosen character gains 1 power. So basically, you can kind of get refunded a little bit when you play your tactics cards, which is interesting. I think that's definitely the second half of that is definitely on the weaker side of leaderships, but being able to have an extra tactics card might be worth the payoff. So it'll be interesting to see if that ends up being a good leadership in the meta, or even just as something that people like to bring for the two heads card. In addition, he has quick step. So if he's not holding an objective, he can pay the 2 power, and he advances medium once per turn. So that's good. That kind of makes up for him only being a medium move as opposed to his original, which was a long mover, though he doesn't have a charge on this one, so that's kind of his equivalent to a charge, I guess. Then he also has Master Duelist. If he makes a sword strike attack against a character that's already made an attack against this turn, he adds 2 dice to the attack roll. So basically, if he's double tapping with a sword strike, or if he's doing, a pistol into a quick step into a sword strike or something, the sword strike's going to be hitting 7 dice, which is nice, especially with all of the things on that, and it's helping you get some consistency on your triggers and all that stuff. And last but certainly not least, he has Strategic Genius. That's great. That's one of the really good abilities on the original Zemo. So I'm glad it's returning to this one. You're not feeling like you're losing much by not bringing the old Zemo. So that's really good. That gives you a reason to run this one over the other one, or gives you a reason not to feel bad about not running the other one, I guess is the way I should phrase that. So that's Zemo. He looks really fun, and I'm excited to see him on the table as well. Next here we have a image of a bunch of the X-Men just together here. We got some painted up final versions of some of the new ones coming out. So we've got, I think, is that Kitty Pryde there? We've got Professor X, Nightcrawler, and Iceman. They look great. I am excited for these models to come out as well. I've already got a Professor X proxy ready to go, and I'm working on an Iceman one as well, which is gonna be cool. So hoping to be able to make some content on those guys as soon as their stats get revealed. Moving on, we also got some art for some tactics cards. We don't know what any of these cards do, but I will say AMG has been doing fantastic with the art on these cards lately. They look absolutely beautiful, and really excited for these. More tactics cards here, this time looking like they're coming from the Wakanda Waterfall set. These look really cool. There's a couple focused on Killmonger here, which will be interesting. I wonder if they'll work with the original one or just the new one. Trial by Combat's pretty cool, and then Bast's Blessing. Again, they've been stepping up on the art. We don't know any of the stats on these though, so there's not much more we can say about these at this time. Moving on, we have the new Red Skull Master of the World. So Red Skull Master of the World is 4/3/3. He's got 6 health, 4 threat level, and size 2 medium moves. So again, seeing a bit of a consistent theme with the size 2 medium moves here. First of all, sculpt for this one looks great. I honestly think I kind of prefer the original one, but that's just because I really like the original one. I think it looks really good, and I think you can convert it to a really good Spider-Man Noir, which is just cool. But the sculpt here still looks fantastic. I think they did a great job on this. In general, they've done really well with the sculpts on this box, so I'm gonna try not to gush over those too much as we go into the next ones. So starting out with this guy, he's got Cosmic Burst. It's a range 4 5 dice attack. He can choose whether it is energy or mystic, which is really powerful. After the attack is resolved, he gains power equal to the damage dealt, which is always good. It's a builder. And then he's got a wild shock on here, so that's useful. Shocks are a solid condition, and yeah, that's a solid builder. 5 dice range 4. I can't complain, and the fact that you can make a mystic is great. Reality Bows to me is going to be 4 cost, 7 dice, range 4 as well. So this one operates almost entirely at range 4, which is kind of nice. He's got a crit wild hit trigger, which is crazy. They're really going all in on some of the hard to hit triggers here. After this attack is resolved, he may make an additional Reality Bows to me attack without paying the power cost. It must target a character within 2 of the original target character that's not been targeted by this. Yeah, that's really good. Being able to basically ricochet Reality Bows to me is pretty cool. Yeah, I don't need to say much more. 7 dice with a ricochet trigger. That's solid attack, especially only for 4 power. I also like that it kind of mirrors the Captain America with him being able to attack twice as well. And then the leadership for this one, the Cabal leadership at least, my Cabal is only for the strong. Once per turn, when a non-grunt allied character is rolling dice as part of an attack roll, it can treat one skull as a critical result. If it does, after the attack is resolved, the attacking character loses one power. If it does not lose a power, maybe it's already out of power, it suffers one damage instead. So this is basically a reality stone as a leadership, and once per turn reality stone as a leadership, and that's really really cool. I think that's a super neat leadership. I'm excited to play around with it. I'm also kind of curious to see how it interacts with having an actual reality stone, because as you guys know, I've been running a lot of Corvus Cabal and Corvus Hydra lately, so that could be fun to play around with. But just in general, this is going to kind of tune up everybody's attack capabilities. Running this with OG Zemo is going to be a menace, so that's really exciting. I'm looking forward to that. Then we have Reshape the World. This is going to be a 3 cost. Choose an interactive terrain feature of size 3 or less within 3 and throw it medium. So within 3, throw medium. That's a very solid throw in my book. It is only terrain though, so no characters on that. Nothing is beyond my reach. Choose this character or another character within 2 and place it within 3 of its current position once per turn, and this costs 4. So it's a really, really solid teleport, although it is only within range 2. But you're placing within 3, which is fantastic. It's a little expensive, but he kind of makes up for that with his final ability, which is power is only for the one who rules. When this character spends power to make an attack action or use a superpower, he can spend power for the attacker's superpower from an allied character within 3 of him. So if he's got models that are kind of like batteries chilling beside him, he can use these abilities for just spending all of their power because not every model needs it as much. So I think that's a pretty interesting ability there. And it being within 3 is really nice. I think this Red Skull's got a lot of potential. I look forward to seeing him on the table, and I'm kind of terrified of what some models are going to do with him with that kind of offensive buff, as well as being able to do nothing is beyond my reach, possibly relatively early in the game if you have some good power batteries with him. So that'll be cool to see. I'm looking forward to him. Moving on, we have the Iron Man, and when I see the model at different angles, I think it looks a lot better, so I'm going to have to see it in person to really make a final call on it. I do think it's still an improvement over the original core box one, but personally, I'm still leaning to the Hulkbuster one being my favorite of the Iron Man sculpts. But we have the Invincible Iron Man, so he's going to be 4-3-3 defensively, 6 health, medium move. Again, it's kind of standard across the board. Another 4 threat. We are getting a lot of 4 threats in this box, which is interesting opposed to the original box, which had a good sprinkling of 3s in there as well. So I think that's just kind of the way AMG's been going in general lately. There's been a lot of 4 threats that I think the community's been very vocal about their opinions on that, so I'm not going to talk about it too much here. But yeah, so we have Repulsor Mark II, 5 dice range 4. After the attack is resolved, he gains power, so it's a builder. If he did not deal damage, however, it's a gainer, so you're always getting something out of it, which feels really good. I love abilities like that. He also has push on a wild, similar to the original Iron Man. Of course, this one's 5 dice over 4, but you don't have a Friday AI this time around, so yeah, no, that checks out. That's a solid builder gainer there. He's got 2 spenders on here. He's got a physical one and an energy one. The first one is going to be Billion Dollar Punch. This is going to cost you 3 power. So it's range 3, which is pretty nice, and it's got 7 dice on it, so it's relatively hard hitting here. Before damage is dealt, you place him within 1 of the target characters. So we got another one of those style abilities there, kind of like what Logan's throwing around and a few others. And then he's got a wild hit throw. So again with the crazy triggers, but this is kind of intended to be run under Steve's. So if the target character is size 3 or less after the effect or after the attack is resolved, he throws them away medium. Which, yeah, that's a medium throw on an attack. That's quite solid. And the throw is before damage, so you're not placing yourself where they end up, which is really nice. So you can use this in a lot of ways. Next, we have the Focused Unibeam. So this one's range 5, 7 dice, 4 cost. When rolling additional dice for crit results during this attack, you roll 2 additional dice instead of 1 for each crit in the attack roll. And then after the attack is resolved, if your attack contained any crits, you're going to take 2 damage. So He's eaten a little bit of damage for a potentially really powerful attack, kind of like what War Machine, and I think there's another character thrown around an attack like that as well. Personally, I'm not huge on those types of attacks. I don't love the reliance on getting a significant amount of criticals. Um, but we'll see. It might be solid, and I'd have to look at the timing. But it's actually possible Captain America's leadership could let you turn your crits back down into, hits or wilds or something, so you don't end up taking any damage at the end of the attack, which would be really interesting. And then we have Let's Get You an Upgrade. So this Iron Man is a leader for Shield. Shield is getting a second or leader, which is really, really exciting. When an allied character is attacking, defending, or dodging during the modified dice step, they can spend one power. If they do, they can reroll one of their dice. That reads very similar to Wakanda's leadership for me. I don't know what the actual differences are. I'm not super well versed since I don't play much Wakanda. But yeah, I mean it's a solid leadership. Being able to reroll on most types of rolls is solid. Um, it's not a particularly complicated or interesting one, so there's not much more to say about that than that. But I think it's decent, and it opens up some options for Shield players, which is exciting because they've been on one leader for a while now. Next, we have Jarvis. When another allied character within 4 is attacking during the modified dice step of the attack, Iron Man can spend 1 to 3 to use this power. For each power spent, the allied character rerolls one of its attack dice. So that's just a really solid support ability. Giving your entire team within 4 of you rerolls is pretty good. I think he might be a little power hungry for it, but we'll see. And the next ability, unfortunately, doesn't help with the power hungry part of this. I Am Iron Man is a 1-cost power, which is just a damage reduction to no minimum, which is always good. I mean, we've seen that on models like Beta Ray Bill or Kingpin or a few others in the past, and those abilities are always great. They're super powerful in terms of keeping a character alive. They're really, really strong abilities. I feel like this guy might be a little power hungry to be using his power on that as well, especially if he wants to be doing Jarvis and stuff like that. But we'll see. It kind of depends how you're playing him, if you're throwing him into the front lines or keeping him back, I guess. So overall though, I do think he's a solid addition to Avengers and Shield rosters here. I think he'll definitely see some play, and of course he can always bring Helios lasers, so that might be a reason enough. Um, Moving on from Iron Man, we have Captain Marvel. Now, Captain Marvel is using the transform ability this time around. She can actually switch between a different model for binary form, which is super exciting, and both of these models look sick. I'm so excited. It's going to be fantastic. So, we're looking at 5 threat this time around. So they just went out and did it. Last time they made her a 4 threat, and it felt a little weird her being on the same level as so many other characters in the box. Making her a 5 threat checks out here. She's got 7 health, 444 for defenses, medium move, size 2. She's rocking a Photon Blast, range 4, 5 dice builder with a Wild Pursuit. Before damage is dealt, she can advance towards them. Solid ability there, helps her getting close for her other attacks or for her binary form, which we'll look at in a moment. This card's a little bit harder to read because it's a little bit more blurry of an image, but I'll do my best here as we go further into this. So, next we have Sonic Boom. This is going to be not a spender. It's a free range 3 6 dice physical attack. It's another builder, so she's got 2 builders. One's a little bit more dice and in melee or closer to melee, whereas the other one's ranged. And this one has Wild Concussive. After the attack is resolved, the target character loses a power. It's solid, not quite as good as something like a Power Sap or something like that, but still a solid ability, and on a 6 dice builder, I can't really complain. Next, she has Enhanced Energy Absorption. So this is defending against a energy or mystic attack. Her wilds are basically going to reverse pierce, so they'll turn down some of the attack rolls dice to blanks. That can feel really, really good. And then she gains power for each one she did. I mean, it was a good ability on her old one, which was just energy, I believe. So being able to do it to mystic as well, yeah, that's quite solid. I can't complain. And then she has Higher, Further, Faster. If at the start of her activation she has 6 or more power, she transforms into binary form. Yeah, that's just good. We're going to look at the binary form in a minute. One thing that's interesting about it is that you don't get to pick like whether or not you do it. You have to transform if you have 6 or more power, which is a little interesting. And then we have You Call That a Punch. When this character is dealt damage by an enemy effect, after the effect is resolved, it gains a power. So it's kind of like Ornery. As a matter of fact, I think it's basically exactly like ornery. It's just not worded as well. And maybe I'm wrong about this. Maybe that's not how it's intended. But my understanding on this is if you would be dazed by this, you still can't gain the power because you are now dazed. So I think it's just ornery, but you guys can correct me on that in the comments below if I'm wrong. And then we also have flight, immunity to incinerate and poison. I think those are both things that the old Captain Marvel had as well. So great to see that those are carried over here. And then we flip over to binary form. Most of the stats stay the same on the kind of main part of things. Obviously, we still have the same amount of health, but the movement and the defenses are the same here. But our attacks change a little bit. So first of all of our attacks are spenders now. We don't have anything for free, which is interesting. So that's why you have to have 6 or more power to flip over, I guess. But we have Binary Blast. It's only range 2. It costs you 1 power, and it's going to throw 6 dice. But it does have a any size push small. Also an any direction push, interestingly enough. And it's got a Wild Incinerate, which is solid. Again, especially under the new Steve. Incinerate's a fantastic condition to be able to throw it very easily. And then she has Warbird. So this is going to be a 3-cost spender. It's going to be range 3 with 8 dice. After the attack's result, place her within 2 of the target character. It's got a Wild Throw, again, any direction, any size, which is really good. And then a Crit Wild Explosive. Before damage is dealt, other enemy characters within 2 of the target character suffer 1. That seems like a pretty solid spender, especially for only 3 power. I mean, you won't be able to use it if you only have 3 power, because you have to have been able to binary first, but yeah, that's a fantastic spender. I think that's really good. Then she has I'm Just Getting Warmed Up, terrain or character throw of size 4, and it's a medium throw for only 2 costs. That's quite good. I could actually see that being used very effectively under Old Steve, so that'll be really good. Ready or Not is a free, well, it costs an action, but a free superpower. Immediately makes a move followed by an attack. So it's basically a charge that's free. Wow, that's good. Okay. Only once per turn. I'll be honest, I haven't actually looked through her entire binary card because there was just a lot of text. So yeah, that's really good. Okay. I don't need a power up to kick your butt. This is another free one. When this character spends or loses power after the effect is resolved, if this character has 3 or less, it can use the superpower and transform back into the normal mode. Okay, so that makes sense. If you need to build your power back up, basically, you can do that. So you can, double spender and then transform back so you can start building again. Enhanced energy absorption seems to be the exact same, and also the only way to gain power on this side, other than, of course, just taking damage. And then lastly, the only other thing that changes over here is we gain an immunity to stagger and stun, which is pretty huge. Those are obviously 2 really important conditions, and God, this Captain Marvel would hate being stunned. So yeah, no, that's fantastic to see. So yeah, overall, this Danvers seems really good. I'm very excited to play her. And again, the model is beautiful. Moving on, we have another picture here of some of the new X-Men stuff coming out. We've got Professor X and Shadow King and painted and in the center spotlight. So presumably we'll be getting a release date on these guys soon, since we've actually got, painted pictures of them and stuff like that now. So that'll be kind of cool. We're also getting a look at the terrain that's coming in this core box. So it's a little lighter, I think, overall than the original core box, but it's a lot more dynamic pieces. Actually, looking at this, it might have more terrain than the original core box now that I'm thinking about it, because the OG core box only has 1 building. Don't quote me on that. Whereas this has the Roxxon building plus these 2, which I believe are size 3s from the Fisk set. So that's actually really interesting to see. Overall, though, I'm very excited about this set. I think a lot of these more scattery pieces are going to be really, really nice around the table. The cars and dumpsters, we've seen those before and they're nice, but they're nothing too special. I'm not going to complain about having more of them, but I certainly don't need it. But overall, decent spread of terrain there. Moving on, we have Ultron Metal Tyrant. So this is going to be a 5-threat Ultron with the grunts. This is what we've been waiting for, and this is another one that I haven't actually read yet. I wanted to have a bit more of a genuine reaction to this one on camera. So we're looking at 4-4-5 for defenses. We've got 8 health. We're size 3 with a medium move, and we're going to be 5 threat. Our builder is a range 4 6 dice attack, which is a builder, so we'll gain equal to the damage dealt. We've got a wild nano corruption, which on one wild gives poison and bleed, which is super nice. That's going to be a very solid builder there, I think. We have extinction protocols as our spender. They're going to cost us 4 power. It's going to throw 8 dice, physical, range 3. Before damage is dealt, if the target character is size 4 or less, we throw them small, so that's pretty solid. That's going to throw most characters in the game. And then we have a wild for explosive force. After the attack is resolved, other characters within 2 of this character are pushed away from this character. Small pushed characters suffer a damage. So that's going to be really solid, especially if you're, standing on a point. You can use this just to get everyone off the point. That'll be quite good. Of course, assuming you get the wild. But then, even if you don't, before damage is dealt, the push, or the throw rather, is guaranteed. So that's always solid. And then we have Kinetic Field Generator. Choose an interactive terrain feature, size 4 or less within 3, throw it medium. 3 cost. Being able to select it within 3 and throw it medium, really, really good. So I think as far as terrain throws go, that's quite good. Unfortunately, it's not a character throw, but you got that from the builder anyways. So yeah, no, overall, I think that's pretty solid. And then I don't think I'm gonna and Cephalid beam. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's a 2 cost. Choose an enemy character within 3 and advance it short. This superpower can be used only once per turn. That's a great ability. This Ultron is actually going to be a bit of a menace for just kind of locking down 1 or 2 objective points. Wow, this Ultron is going to be really good on stuff like what's it called, Researcher. Yeah, actually, I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be cool. We have Metal Mind. When he's defending against mystic attacks, count each wild as 2. Additionally, he cannot be pushed or advanced by the special rules of mystic attacks or enemy superpowers, which is going to be really interesting. So yeah, like again, this is going to be a great model to just sit on a point and say, no, you move, I'm not moving. This is fantastic. I will create a better age when a terrain feature is destroyed by an allied effect. If there is not an Ultron drone in play, you may place an Ultron drone into play within 3 of this character. It gains the stagger special condition and is part of your squad. So he gets his grunts back by having terrain be destroyed, which, I mean, good thing he has a terrain throw then. That's going to be really good. I think this model is going to have a lot of play, even before I look at his grunts here. So he's got flight, immunity to bleed and poison. Pretty standard. That's kind of what I would expect from him. Overall, I think he already looks great. I don't know. Yeah, let's see what the grunts bring to the table. So these guys have 3 health. They're rocking 2/2/2 on defensive stats. That's pretty solid for grunts. Actually, that might be really good for grunts now that I think about it, because I think the Hydra grunts are one of the bulkier ones, and they're 3/1/1/2 or something like that. So yeah, no, that's quite good. They've got an energy blast, it's just a 4 dice range 3. That seems about average. And then this ability that I can't really read, we're going to zoom in a little bit and see if we can. Rough Around the Edges is a 0 cost. When this character would be removed from the battlefield, enemy characters within 2 of this character suffer a damage. An allied Ultron Metal Tyrant gains the power for each damage dealt this way, and then they're removed from the battlefield. That's really good. Yeah, so they have a little death burst thing. However, your opponent doesn't have much reason to attack them because they also have Program for Destruction. They cannot pick up, hold, interact with, or contest objective tokens. Usually when grunts have stuff like that, it specifies a type. This one does not, so we just can't touch objectives in general. Is what it is. I think the base Ultron is going to be good enough for objective play that we don't need the grunts to do that, so just having them kind of be little annoyances that you could honestly intentionally blow them up with, like throw a character into them or something like that. Yeah, that seems like something you could kind of use them for just some guaranteed damage there. So yeah, I think they're a solid little addition, and I think he's got good enough scenario play on his own that that part doesn't really feel bad. Here we have an overall splash of everything coming in the core box. So of course we have our movement tools. Doesn't look like anything has changed for those. We have the new terrain, which is really nice. Standard amount of dice. We've got a new scorecard, which I think looks really clean, and I'm excited to pick that up. That's super awesome. I also didn't mention this when I was going through them, but these character cards look sick. They've got the like full out splash on them, and I'm really excited for those. We're obviously getting a bunch of tactics cards, and they did say that they're going to try and make them as backwards compatible with the original core box characters as they can, so they'll be using alias names instead of the model name, which is really, really good. Art for the box, I think, again, that was already shown off, but it looks great, super excited. New core rulebook, which, yeah, that'll be nice, having an updated one. And then these tokens, looks like they're a little bit more square than the old ones. I don't know, maybe they punch out circular, but they look pretty clean. I'm super excited. If anyone watches my battle reports, you might have seen that my energy and or my power tokens and stuff like that are definitely a little rough around the edges. So getting a new set of tokens would be quite nice. But yeah, there's a good amount of content in here. I think I saw somewhere that the price on their website was something like 150. I want to say that was US. So it's a little bit more expensive than the old core box, which is interesting. You do get an extra model in there in the form of Bucky, but and I think you're at least getting a similar amount of terrain. I don't know if it's more or less, but it's not by a huge amount. Um, so you're getting a similar amount of stuff plus one model. I don't know how to feel about that price point yet, being more than the original core box, but we'll see as it comes out and how it actually shakes down. Moving on, we have the new Doc Ock. So excited about this one. So we have Doc Ock, Sinister Scientist. He's going to be rocking 443 for his defenses with 6 health. Threat level 4, so different threat from the previous Doc, which is good to see. And again, size 2, medium move. Striking Tentacles. This is just a straight upgrade from the old one. I believe the old one was 4 dice. Don't quote me on that, though. It's going to be range 3 builder, 5 dice, and it's got a wild flurry, or flurry of arms, I should say. So when making an attack, each wild will count as 2 successes. He's got arm lasers 2.0. This is a beam 4, and it's going to be only 4 dice. However, it does have a wild incinerate, so after each attack is resolved, they could gain the incinerate special condition. Fantastic, great condition. It's still only 4 dice, so I don't think you're going to be planning on getting too much damage with this, but if you get a couple incinerates in there, that usually will feel good enough. Scientific Breakthrough is going to be 3 range, 7 dice, and 5 cost, or 4 cost, I can read. If the attack deals damage after the attack is resolved, the target character is bleeding, poisoned, and shocked. That's pretty solid. That's a decent spender. I can't complain about it. And the really exciting part here is he comes with a leadership for Spider Foes, the Sinister Six. I'm so excited. Once per turn, after an attack targeting an allied character is resolved, if that character is not dazed, it gains a power. So it's kind of... I think this is going to be really, really good on characters that have ways of attacking a few times a turn, stuff like rapid fire and stuff like that. Especially if it's like pepper spray guns, because yeah, not if they're not dazed, gaining power is just going to be a good way to kind of make up for the fact that you didn't get the kill, or also could just be your goal in the first place. It's going to be a good way to make your rapid fires consistently gain you 4 power unless you get a daze, and if you get a daze, you're probably not complaining. So that's solid. Additionally, once per turn, when an allied character suffers damage from an enemy attack, after that attack is resolved, it can remove one of the following conditions, either shock, slow, or incinerate. That's solid. Those 3 conditions can be brutally annoying, so being able to remove them when you take damage, that's pretty good, especially on maps like Demons Downtown, where there's going to be a lot of incinerates flying around, or just if you're playing against something like a pyro, basically saying you're only going to get value out of this incinerate once, that's pretty nice. I like that a lot. Then we have Ox Grasp, so that's going to be 3 power, interactive terrain feature, or enemy character, size 3 or less within 3, throw it small. It's pretty similar to his old throw, I think. It's a decent throw, mainly because it's a character throw and you can do it at range 3, so can't really complain there. It's a little expensive, but it's pretty solid. And then last, he has Scientific Hubris. When he rolls dice after the effect is resolved, if the roll contained 1 or more crits, he gains a power. Yeah, no, that's solid. That'll help him with power generation a lot. Just between, being able to do it on something like his arm lasers, where in theory he's throwing out, 8 to 12 dice, I'd say, a lot of the times if he's getting a good one. That can be pretty solid. So yeah, that's decent. Good way to gain some power when he's using those other abilities. Overall, I honestly think this Doc Ock might be a little on the weaker side, but because he's a Spider Foes leader and because his leadership is pretty cool, I think he'll still see a lot of play, so I'm looking forward to him. I'm very excited. And also, I do think the pose is really good on this one. I definitely prefer this model, I think, to the older model. So yeah, great job with this one. Moving on, we have just a spread of all of the characters here. So we get a few things that we couldn't get before. We have Widow's card, but I am going to not even try to read that. I'll get what I can. So we have Stealth, we have Martial Artist, we have Threat level 4, which is nice. 4, 3, 4, 6 health, long move. So hey, we do have a long move in the box. She's got a baton weapon that looks like it is a builder with a wild shock, 5 dice, range 2. Sure. She's got something, Widow's Stingers, maybe? I don't know. Um, Something. It's range 4, looks like it's only 4 dice, 0 cost, looks like a gainer with a wild stun. She's got deadly something again. I can't make out the second word there. We're looking at a 4 cost spender, 7 dice, range 2. Um, After this attack is resolved, she can advance medium. It's got what looks like a wild hit trigger that lets her make a shock baton attack. I cannot read the second line, but seems like something to do with rerolls, including skull results. I'm going to assume any number of dice, so that's pretty solid. We also have, I want to say, calculated. I feel like that might be rage, but it's kind of hard to read it. Calculated something. It's a 2 cost when she's defending against physical or mystic, it looks like, during the modified dice step. She can use this power. Reroll any number of dice, including skulls. That's solid. All that matters is the mission, and this one, I don't think I can make out a single word of this one. That is very blurry. So that's as much as I'm going to get. I'm pretty sure I got most of that right, except for a lot of the names and whatever this last one is supposed to be. Mentions an objective token. When this character is something, an objective token, yeah. Something about placing the. Oh, you know what? I think I saw people talking about this one, and I think it's like the shield grunts ability where when she would drop an objective token, she gets the controlling player places it. And actually, as I'm like saying that, I'm making out some of those words. So yeah, so she gets to pick where her objectives drop when she gets dazed, which is a pretty solid ability. Other things we get that weren't visible because we didn't get to look at their cards. We know this Spider-Man is going to be a 3 threat, and he's only a medium move, unfortunately, but he's a 3 threat with 5 health, 3 3 3. So that's going to be interesting. He's also got swinging strike, it looks like, probably 5. Again, can't really make out the details on this one. We have a Winter Soldier operative who's going to be a threat for Winter Soldier. He's going to be starting with 6 health and 4 3 4 for defenses, so that's pretty cool. We also know Crossbones is going to be a 4 2 2 3 threats. We're going to have another 3 threat Crossbones. He's going to be coming in with 6 health and a short move. So that's something worth acknowledging there. It's going to be another short move, 3 threat Crossbones. I'm not sure how to feel about that, but we'll talk about that after. And yeah, I think the rest of the characters here we actually got to look at their cards. So that's all there is to that. Um, yeah, so moving on, the last image here is just a little preview at some of the new characters we have coming for Spider Foes. So we're gonna have Electro, Shocker, Sandman, and Vulture coming soon. Sculpts for these look pretty sick. Sandman here with these constructs are really cool. Super looking forward to that. That's gonna be awesome. Shocker as well, really good sculpt there. Just in general, I'm excited for this. I love the Spider Foes, so I'm very excited to see they're getting a little bit of love right now. But yeah, this video has already run 50 minutes, so I'm gonna save my personal thoughts on these for a future video maybe. For now, I'm content to have gone over all of the stuff coming in this box. I'm very excited. I know a lot of people are a little bummed that we're getting so many duplicates models, but I'm very, very excited. I think there's a lot of really cool things here. They're doing some very interesting things with these models, and I like that a lot of them are not going to be just necessarily replacing the old ones. I'm very glad they didn't do, this box is mandatory to play the old versions of the characters. Like these are their new cards and they're getting rid of the old ones. They're both going to be totally legal, which is super exciting for me. I love that obviously Avengers support I'm always down for, so I'm very excited about that. The new Steves look super fun. I can't wait to play them. And again, probably this Sunday, I'll be trying to throw out a battle report. So if you guys are new to the channel, you'll make sure you want to subscribe to get notified when that video goes live because that's sure to be an exciting one. I'm looking forward to that a lot. It's going to be really cool. We're just going to be using obviously the characters that we know, so I'm probably going to have to splash someone in Avengers because I might have a decent enough handle on what the Widow did. We'll see, but it's 17 threat is what we know for both sides, so assuming the Widow counts there, so that's going to be good. Um, yeah, that's not much more to talk about. Again, I've already made this video way longer than I intended to, so I don't want to ramble on for too long. But I hope you guys are excited about these changes. I know I'm very, very excited. I cannot wait for some of these new characters. They're going to be dropping in October, is what they said during the stream. If my Discord community is to be trusted. So yeah, I'm looking forward to all of this. So yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys are excited for this stuff as well. And yeah, as always, if you are new to the channel, please do make sure to drop a like and feel free to subscribe. We're going to be doing battle reports on these guys soon, and I'm hopefully going to be talking about all of these characters in more depth as they come out, which is going to be really, really exciting. But until next time, peace.